This program is brought to you by realestate.com.au, Australia's #1 address in property. With more properties for sale than anywhere else, we make it easier.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the auction numbers for this week. It's set to be the busiest week of the year so far for the auction market, with almost 3,000 properties scheduled to go under the hammer. That's up 14% on the same week last year. New South Wales is expecting 1,096 auctions, up 42% year on year, and 877 of those will be in Sydney. Victoria will hold 1,223 auctions. That's up 3%. Melbourne is responsible for about 1,200 of them. Queensland has 321 auctions scheduled, and 159 of them are outside of Brisbane. Those regional Queensland numbers, they're up 17%. South Australia will hold 158 auctions, most of them in Adelaide, and the ACT will hold 105 auctions this week. That's down 2%. Moving on to the most viewed properties going to auction this weekend. First up, we have 4A Deacon Street West Ryde in Sydney. This three-bedder has a price guide of $1.2 million. Then we have 19 Sunnyside Avenue, Nunawading in Melbourne's far eastern suburbs. This four-bedder has a price guide of up to $935,000. Then it's another Melbourne property at 16 Denmark Street in Kew. This three-bedder has a price guide of up to $1.4 million. And rounding out the list, we have 10 Sinclair Street in Adelaide's beachside suburb of Grange. This three-bedder has a price guide of about $595,000. And the most viewed property on Rea Group's website this week is 119 to 121 Carbrook Road, Cornubia in Queensland, about 35 minutes drive southeast of the Brisbane CBD. This resort-style mansion sits on about 7,000 square metres. It's got 5 bedrooms with built-in cupboards, 3 modern bathrooms, plus space for 12 cars. This giant home centred around a large kitchen, which features stone benchtops and a butler's pantry. Outside, there's a saltwater swimming pool, championship tennis court, outdoor pavilion, fire pit, spa and sauna. In the grounds, there's also a giant garage, caravan parking, a car hoist room, commercial grade gym, and a 1-bedroom studio home. Price for this one is withheld. Well, join me live from Melbourne is Rea Group property economist Anne Flaherty. And thanks for your time today. It looks like we're set to have the busiest week of the year for auctions. What's got sellers so excited?
Look, the week leading up to Easter is typically one of the busiest weeks of the year. We know that a lot of sellers want to get those properties off the market before the Easter holidays hit. Even though we have a lot of properties up for auction, however, we're still around 33% lower than we were at the week prior to Easter last year. So we're still seeing the total number of properties hitting the market down.
Are there any areas, though, around the country where demand is starting to outstrip supply?
There are still a lot of suburbs where supply and demand are imbalanced. We're continuing to see very high ratio of potential buyers to sellers. In some suburbs, we're seeing around 300 potential buyers per property available for sale.
Well, okay, so more than 300 people looking in some suburbs. Just how much traffic are you getting on the Rea Group website right now?
Look, we are continuing to see very healthy levels of traffic on the website. We know that, buyers may be taking a little longer to make a decision than they were at the heat of the market last year, but we're still seeing really high inquiry numbers, very robust search volumes. So it's a good sign, I think, that, market conditions are actually steadying. They're quite resilient at the moment.
Yeah, what does all this interest mean for property prices around the country? I know they have been falling a bit, but are they starting to stabilise then?
Well, it's a really interesting point because if you look at how much interest rates have increased, all else equal, you would have expected to see bigger price declines than we've seen so far. But, Australia's property market, it often surprises to the upside. We have seen very resilient prices since the start of the year. And I think that, the higher improved auction clearance rates we're seeing as well are a sign, I think, that, conditions are still actually relatively positive.
Okay, and look, let's talk rents. Are there any affordable rentals out there now in Australia charging less than $400 a week?
Yeah, look, it's really tough out there. A year ago, around 1 in 3 properties available for rent were for less than $400. That's now less than 1 in 5. And, just as we were seeing with those hot demand buyer suburbs, we're seeing a lot of suburbs where we're seeing upwards of 100 prospective renters for every property that becomes available. So it's a sign really that, low vacancy rates, high demand are going to continue to push rents up in these in-demand suburbs.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, what is the outlook for rents looking like towards the rest of this year?
Look, population growth is back. We know that the supply of new properties coming online is being impacted by increased development costs. What this means is that vacancy rates are going to remain very, very low. And of course, that means we've got more tenants competing for a stock of properties that's not growing as quickly as it needs to. That's going to push rents up.
And Flaherty, economist at Rea Group, thanks for joining us on the show this afternoon.
My pleasure.